Welcome back to the Director's Garage, where it is a sound check day. We're going to be taking a look at this headphone right here, the ZMF Verite open back headphone, custom. Beautiful wood. Look at this wood. We're going to do a proper sound check on this. This is a video I should have made like a month ago. We're going to do it. It's going to be right today. First, I'm going to talk about a couple of updates. I have a second manufacturer, number 2, interested in sending the Director's Garage some product, which is a good thing because this wallet is looking a little light these days for a very good reason. I have 2 new products on the way. Yes, cash out of pocket products that I am pulling in for your viewing pleasure. One of them's not exactly new, but you know, I'm doing the best I can here. So 2 unboxing videos coming up in the near future. Looking forward to that. But now I have spent the week with these. And let's jump into the sound check right now. And I'm going to talk about comfort off the bat. First of all, these are really a good weight. They're a very nice light headphone for their size. They really don't weigh down on you that much. I feel like I could leave these on all day. However, the band on top, a little bit on the wide side, and I gotta tell you, it leaves this I don't have a lot of hair up here to begin with. Hey! And it kind of crushes what little hair I have. The other issue I have are these guys right here. These are the Frankenstein ear connectors that they snap in and they snap out like that. And now I've got them out. But when they're in, and you're leaning back, they the Frankenstein thing kind of dig into your collarbone a little bit. I wish these things were just a little bit shorter or maybe on an L, like an angle, so that they would stay out of your neck. But let's jump down here to the board and take a look at the cable, because this thing is a great cable. Beautifully hand wound, great connection, heat shrink wrap, great connector on the end of it. This is a custom cable from ZMF, and Zach really knocked it out of the park with this. This is a nice deep V that meets at your breastplate. And look, even a nice little touch here, the ZMF logo etched right in there. Quality cable, thumbs up. And one other note, I did go with the lambskin BE2 head pad, and I promise you that is the last time you will hear the word ear pad in the entire episode. The people who comment on my videos know exactly what I'm referring to. And before we start talking about sound, I just want to talk about sources for a second. I used the computer through the Hugo TT for a solid state path, and then I went through the Hugo 2 into the Wu Audio WA5LE with its mega tubes, and that is the reason that I bought these headphones. So that's the signal path I really focused on. And let's be honest, these things sound really great through a good set of tubes. And while we're talking about sources, I gotta say, these tend to prefer a little bit of a better, higher quality audio source. They don't like the cheaper MP3. No, this likes the good stuff. This likes the 192. It prefers those upper echelon files. And if I had to categorize the sound on these, I would say that they're a little bit more on the reference side with a slight bass elevation. They sound really great, but they kind of show you where your sources are lacking. One of the things I really like about this headphone is the cohesiveness of the sound. You get this full picture with no seams in between the different frequencies. It just flows together out at you as one gorgeous full-bodied picture.
Have mercy.
Full-bodied? Nothing really stands out. It's a fine tonal blend with great clarity, very nice clarity on this headphone. Tends to be a little bit on the darker side than the bright side. But there's excellent speed. I've heard faster headphones, but this is definitely in the upper tier. The imaging on this headphone I would classify as terrific. I really enjoyed the sense of things coming at you in a 3D space and a nice wide soundstage on these. Not the widest I've heard, it's not Sennheiser wide, but it's out there. These are really good on the sense of soundstage. And fast. These things are really fast. And that equates to some really great dynamics. You'll be listening to a quieter passage and all of a sudden, boom, something will pop in. Bam, right in your ears. So let's move into the sonic structure of these, and that means we're going to be talking about treble, bass, mid-range, that kind of thing. So starting with the bass, I mentioned that the bass was elevated, but there's a roll-off as we get into the sub-bass that I was hoping for a little bit of fun slam down low that would really rock my head a little bit. And it doesn't quite get there. Very nice elevation on the bass. It's very represented. And as I said, it was a darkish headphone. It leans into that bass a little bit. It could use a little thud thud. I was kind of hoping that the bass would slam into the back of my head. Got these big drivers in there. I just wanted them to really punch me a little bit, rock me around, rough me up a bit. It just never quite did it. However, the bass is there, and it's tight, and it's a beautifully sculpted bottom end on it. I just wish it would knock me a little bit. The mids on this headphone, they're balanced appropriately, and that's when I'm talking about a reference tuning. Reference tunings to me always seem to have a very flat mid-range. I kind of like a lowered mid-range a little bit in my tonal preference, so these didn't quite hit the mark to where I'm looking for in a mid-range, but what's there is gorgeous. I mean, these things reproduce so well. Hard to count that as a flaw. It's just a preference of mine. I'd like the mid-range just a touch lower for my preference. And the treble on these, gorgeous. There's a nice sparkle up top without ever getting shouty. One of the things I can't wait to do is a shootout on these headphones. I want to find out where these land in comparison to some other popular open backs. I don't know when I'm going to be able to afford it because these things are expensive. We're talking about $2,700 just for the headphone, and I paid full. Dumbass. Of course, it had the nifty cable in it, so that was kind of a good thing. And when I talk sound checks, I always like to talk about music, and I like to talk about the songs that really impressed me. Fleetwood Mac Rumors on this headphone was about as good. There's a mid-range on Rumors, particularly when you get into secondhand news, that if you have the wrong headphone, it can get really shouty. And this headphone has those upper mids reined in nice and tight, and Rumors on this popped. Dreams, fantastic, deep bass, full sonic picture. And what that applies to is the speed and resolution of the bass. When he hits the low toms, you can hear the skin vibrating on the top of the tom. Fantastic effect. And listening to the chain, that's where I really missed the deep slam. There's 2 or 3 opportunities in that song for a headphone to really kick you in the back of the head. Doesn't quite nail it for me. And one last track off of Rumors, Gold Dust Woman. When Mick gets those drums going and you've got the high-pitched stuff happening, this headphone really pops because it is that full sound picture that I really enjoy. And for an album off the beaten path, you know I love to do that. Robert Plant, Pictures at 11. It was the first record in Robert's solo career, and one track that I really love was actually a single. It was never released on the record. It's called Far Post, and there's a piano solo in there where he's hitting the note on one side, and there's an immediate reverb coming across the other side. And the imaging on this headphone, it's so cool to hear the piano hit, and just a microsecond later, you get the reverb bounce off the other side. I'd encourage you to check out that track, Far Post. But when we're talking about where this headphone really shows its muster, this is a jazz headphone. This is one of the best jazz headphone experiences I've ever had. I was listening to Cannonball Adderley, Something Else. Miles' trumpet, just presented beautifully in the mix. It's gorgeous. Tremendous extension on the SOUNDSTAGE. I love this headphone for jazz. Autumn Leaves on this headphone. It's just an experience. One of my favorite jazz recordings of all time. Thelonious Monk, live in San Francisco. One of the things I love about this recording is that you can hear Monk grunting as he plays the piano. You can hear his foot jamming down on the pedal. Oops, broke something. Thelonious was one of the most physical piano players you'll ever hear. His finger touch was very heavy on the keys, and then he could still back off a little bit and throw a little something in. Monk's expressiveness with the pounding and the pedaling. The headphone swings, baby, swings.
Wow, that was freaky.
Don't ask me. It's so stupid. So if I had to sum up this headphone in a word, it's going to be competence. This headphone is just competent, but for my ears, really jazz is the place to go with these. If you love the open, smoky sound from a nightclub, jazz at the pawn shop, anything where there's extreme detail, this headphone is going to knock your socks off.
Go.
And I've gone through a ton of it, from Miles to Monk, all of those amazing Blue Note recordings, Dexter Gordon, all of them, fantastic. It brings great jazz recordings to life, and it earns the name Verite. So I think this headphone is ripe for a shootout. I just don't have anything in my inventory to compare it to. It's a problem.
sir.
But in the meantime, I've got 2 new products coming in this week. Maybe one of them will be a shootout contender. And we've got that second manufacturer jumping on board at the Director's Garage. Make sure that you like and subscribe. Get down there. Be one of the 500. We hit 500. We grew 250 subs in like a little over a month. That's all on you guys. I'm so grateful. But it only is going to allow us to get more crazy good stuff like this in. Of course, I got to afford it somehow. I got to go back to work. I'll see you when some new boxes get here.